Hello, Renee Flamont here. You guys, at the end of this video, I have a perfect example that I want to share with you at the end of this video. The last two off-topic Fridays with divorcing and with the kids and all that. I have an example. I'll share my personal business, what my husband is doing for me, my ex-husband, regarding this Australia thing, and I'll get into that later. But the last two videos on last two Fridays on Off Topic are not the ones in the corner of this video, because I'm assuming you watched those because they're recent, and I hope you did. But that is at the end of the video. This video, it's just another thing that gets me so angry. Every aspect of this disorder still gets me angry, like I lived it yesterday. That's why it's such an ongoing topic of interest for me to this day, and so many others out there, because it's fascinating to me, this part, that people just won't believe you. And you know, that can be so frustrating. And I know you know what I mean, especially if you've pondered and finally decided to confide in someone, and then they don't believe you. It took you enough, right? Way inside to decide, I'm going to share. I mean, I've talked to some of you. You're like, I still can't, or I have one friend, blah, blah, blah. But that decision is a time. You're going to say it. I told you I had the one friend, and we decided we're going to tell each other our red flags. It's still hard. You're saying words out loud, and then you get someone that doesn't believe you. And the thing is, this can very, very, very easily and often be a family member you're telling, or a really good friend, of course. But the narcissist could be another family member or another good friend. So, especially when it's a family member. So the person you're talking to very many times loves you both. Think that through. They love you both. They haven't been the victim on the narcissistic abuse side of this narcissist in the family. The narcissist very cleverly doesn't show that person that side. So you're telling them how they're treating you. They haven't experienced it. They love you both. It can be a tough position for them to know who to believe, what to believe. They don't want to think of the narcissist in the way that you're explaining to them. And this is very common with parents if the sibling is trying to tell them they're being tortured by their narcissist sibling, whether or not they have the words narcissist. It's very oftentimes why I think the parent in that case just sweeps it under the rug. They don't know what to do. And I have one child, so I don't have that issue. I feel like it's an extra burden that I watch parents navigate that, and it can be tricky because you don't want to believe one is being horrible to the other. They're both your children. Anyway, if it's a romantic partner, it's very common to face resistance when confiding in someone what has transpired, because first of all, they're not related to them, so it's not the family dynamic of there's a conflict. The person's going to hate your narcissist the second you tell them, and you know it. There's no way around it. And when you're confiding in someone what transpired, it's because they can't picture a person being as bad as the story displays your narcissist is. They're in shock. They're not understanding why you stayed. They may even doubt what you're saying is the complete truth, because they would have left immediately. Immédiatement. Like that. And you know, they may have. Not everyone is susceptible to the trappings of a narcissist. You know, you've got to be a vulnerable person in the first place. It's not like these narcissists go out and love bomb and it's like 10 for 10, they win every time. There are people that send them away and see them coming and don't respond and don't fall victim to the cycle that is with them. Okay? Remember, we talked a lot about that. You've got to be lacking somewhere within, have some hole of self-love somewhere deep inside that they needed to fill. And some people are on point with these regards. It's very simple. They just are. I know a person, I've known her since I was a kid. She's never cried her eyes out. You know how we can do the ugly cry over a guy. It was more like, next, you mistreat me, next. Like Beyonce's Irreplaceable. I'm not a big pop music person, but I do know that song, and oh my God. It's very empowering if you don't know that song, Beyonce's Irreplaceable. Just listen to the words, the attitude of it. It's an awesome track of empowerment. And that's how my friend always lived her life. She's like, I would never. Now, she knew I was dramatic. I was heartbroken or in love, always one or the other, and very dramatically. I look to her now, my fairy godmother, and I see the strength I aspire to always carry from now on. It just took me a while, but to just be able to put your value first. Anyway, I digress. I want you to be careful when you are sharing and you do decide to share, because I want you to watch the flying monkeys. We talked a lot about flying monkeys. They've already made a choice, if they are already a flying monkey, which by definition is what they're doing, following the narcissist. They've already made a choice to believe the narcissist. So think that through for a second, right? You think it through. So they've made that choice. They were your good friend or family member, and they've made that choice. So you're uphill battle already. So you want to make your case, state your point. I understand, and go right ahead. But you cannot awake the dead asleep. So if they've made that choice, they are dead asleep, and you can't wake them up any more than any good friend could have woken you out of your narcissist cycle until you were ready, unfortunately. Now, I'm not saying you can't change their mind if you go and state your case and make your point. That's why I said, you want to do that? Go right ahead. You know I don't leave anything unsaid to anybody ever at any point in any moment in my life. So you know if that's happened to me, of course I made my case. And then you go from there and you make your decision and you see how things work out. And sometimes the flying monkey sees their own truth with the narcissist and they come back to you. And I always say, if anyone comes back to my door, not the narcissist, but in life, if somebody were to come to you in that situation, hat in hand, and they're, apologetic, and they've seen the light, and I give chances. They got swayed by the narcissist just like you did, and it's very hurtful when a friend chooses the narcissist over you. It is, it's like a stab. It's like it feels, I don't mean to belittle someone who's been stabbed, oh my God. But you know what I mean? It's like a real, what you doing, baby? Breathing hard over here? Come look at us. Smile. She gained 1.5 pounds. I went a little crazy on her, feeding her twice a day because she looked skinny at Christmas. So she has to lose 3/4 of a pound. But I feel like once you realize you can't awake the dead sleep, then you can stop exerting effort and worrying about that flying monkey and move on to trying to find and confide in a person that will support you. Pardon me. I have a tickle today. Even though your tale does sound unbelievable, and remember, it does even to you if you say it out loud. Think of you being on the receiving end of your own story. I think of that all the time. Like if somebody were to tell me what happened to me happened to them, I would say, I don't understand. Why didn't you just leave them? As a matter of fact, before my last narcissist, I remember that there was a couple we knew, and the girl found her like 3-year boyfriend on a dating site. I remember saying, I found mine, that was the first infraction of my narcissist, right? I remember saying to the mutual friend, I didn't say it to the girl because I wouldn't be this harsh. I said, no, I don't understand. Why didn't she just break up with him? I don't get it. I don't know. She said, I don't know, Renee. She found him on a dating site and they're working it out. And no, I don't get it, I said. Found him on a dating site. It's over. It's done. I don't get it. Done. Why is there even any more conversation? I was so emphatic. Fast forward a few years, I've been through this relationship, and now I sit here and say, right? So that's what you're going to get. Picture yourself as your own audience. So you have to be prepared. They're not going to just, take in what you tell them and go forth and believe every word. It doesn't mean you shouldn't share, but just be prepared, and that's why they are unbelievable things the narcissist does to us. And how much you share and what details you share are your business. You don't have to tell everybody every last detail. I have never told anybody every last detail, but it's pretty evident to the people around you if you're being mistreated. They don't need to know details. People catch on. They see. They know by your face. I was told last month, I stopped in a jeweler that I've used here, my family uses for years and years and years. Nice people. He told me, I haven't seen him in a couple of years. It's been 2 years. Corona, we don't go out a lot. He was like, oh my God, you look so much better. And I said, well, I was in a bad situation. He said, I can't even tell you how much better you look right now than then. People see it. Even if they don't realize it, now he realizes it. He's like, oh my God, I was despondent. I was full of despair. I was uptight. I was anxious all the time. I was stressed all the time. Your energy is off. They know. But how much you tell them is your business. Don't ever feel like you have to tell them, oh, I've decided to share. Now I have to really go for it. And that's really embarrassing to me. I really don't want them to know that. Just, you don't have to divulge your life. But once we voice aloud what has transpired and we present our story, it really does make it kind of hard to believe it yourself. And that is a powerful moment. It was for me. Not so much what they even did at that point. I know that sounds weird. Give me a second. And I just say that because we've all known snakes, even if they weren't narcissists. We've all known people, men, women, whoever dates whomever. We've met jerks before, right? But it's the hard to believe part for me was because I stayed. The jerk part, oh, well, I landed a jerk. He's a jerk, right? Let's just call him a jerk. But I stayed. That's the unbelievable part to all of us, I think, in the end. Their behavior, sure, that's unbelievable, but I can separate that from me. That has nothing to do with me. That their behavior is indeed unbelievable, unreal, cruel. It's cruel, it's unbelievable, it's all of that in their life, in the world. I was a victim of it for a couple of years, but I don't regard it as, wow, okay, so he's a jerk. Yeah, of course he's going to behave that way, kind of like. But the fact that I stayed, right, that's the part that stings. And that's the resistance that you're going to feel when you finally decide to tell people, and that's why they can't believe you, because you stayed. It's almost like, well, that didn't happen then, because she would never have stayed. That can't be true. Almost like that. Like, No way he was on a dating site. She would have broken up with him after 3 years. I didn't think that. I believed our friend that she found her boyfriend on a dating site. But that could be it too. Like you could say, no. Like if it's that bad of a thing, but they remain together, the whisperers, somebody might come out with the notion that that's impossible that happened. Who would stay with somebody after that? Some of the stuff some of you have been through is very horrible. I know because you share it to me. And I talk and I listen and I comment and I read everything. I mean, come on. It's bad what we go through. And I feel like the fact that you stayed and stayed and stayed and stayed, not even just one thing, right? That's a choice that many cannot fathom. Period. But they want to be your friend, they want to be there for you, and you've decided to confide. But we maybe need to have a little understanding about where they're coming from where they're coming. You know? You don't want to lose a friend because you get every single thing I talk about has happened to me, so I'm trying to share this with you because this is a very delicate topic. Every single time that you might feel like you're going to get aggravated because they're giving you resistance or they're playing devil's advocate or they're questioning whether or not what you're telling them is even real, or are you exaggerating, or was it that bad, or whether it's in the family with the siblings. Oh, that conversation happens all the time, doesn't it? Oh, come on, work it out. How bad can it be? Siblings fight. You're lucky you have each other. You hear it all the time. And the thing is, when you get to that point where they just sweep it or don't believe it, you might get aggravated. Now that could cause tension between you and this close person. Please resist that. Don't let that happen, because then the narcissist wins something else away from you, takes something from you. Even if they're not taking them as a flying monkey, they're creating a problem now. This is your good friend. You love this person. You trust this person. Be patient. That's what I'm saying. Put yourself in their shoes. This is unbelievable what you're telling them. Can you hear her snoring? I'm not going to try to move the camera. I've done that before and I mess everything up. But you know, the narcissist remains where they can get away with the most. So if there's a person who the narcissist knows is keeping the dysfunction a secret, and you're someone who isn't telling anybody anything, on top of that, the narcissist has been charming, you know, the family and friends. So they know you're keeping the behavior, the bad behavior, a secret. They've been busy charming your family and friends. They know now that their behavior will go unchecked. No one's going to believe you. They've been charming and wonderful to everybody else but you. I'm safe to stay here until I'm ready to move on. So they might just stay there and try to be there. The victim at that point has zero control just because no one believes them. And that's a shame. You know, like if that were the situation, and again, it could be with a family member. The family member charms everybody else. They all think, oh, they're a hoot. We love them. They're funny. Da-ba-ba. To you, they torture you. So you're trying to tell people they don't see it, and you're going to get, resistance. Life is short. Da-ba-ba. You guys are relatives. Work it out. Right? My concern at that point about the victim having no control is that it can be a very lonely place. You don't know where to turn. You don't know what to do. There's no one you can talk to. They don't understand. You try talking. They don't believe you. You look like you're making waves. Then it comes back on you. Well, you're too sensitive. Right? Anyway, when that happens, my wish is that the victim reassesses the importance of it, keeps a hold of what's inside, they know the truth, and moves to find another person that might have their interest in mind who's not related to the family. And they might have an more objective understanding of what you're trying to share with them. They might not be, in love with the other family member like the rest of the family. It can be very, very hard. My wish is that anyone going to another person, which is the first hard step to even go to anybody because you're embarrassed, but that when they're getting that courage up and sharing the tale of this behavior and they're going to another person, that they should be received properly by that person. That's my wish, is that whoever you pick to confide in, that you are being received properly. And by that, I mean warmly and comfortingly. Even if they don't believe you, if they're receiving you, just be patient. I would like everyone to let the victim know, let them know they're in a safe space to talk without judgment. If the person you turn to showcases these qualities, then you've chosen the right ear to bend, right? Last week, I talked a lot about, God, that was a long video, wasn't it? I talked a lot about how I might be going to Australia. I'm definitely there by the time this airs, because it looks like, as I'm recording this, I think I'm leaving in 2 days, even though it's all coming together now. I think I'm going. But, the last 2 off-topic Fridays, we talked about divorce and the kids and how to make it be nice and try to go through life and not try to hurt each other as exes, but be cooperative. Okay. For example, this is a good example of that. I haven't thought about it since this channel because she's been abroad since before I started this channel. But there's a little thing that my husband always did, my ex-husband. My daughter went to school away in Rhode Island, Providence, Rhode Island, the first 2 years of college. So she's been away at college over 5 years. He always said he's not a big traveler. He just doesn't love it. But he always wanted her to have a parent whenever, for anything she had, blah, blah, blah. So he always said to me, you want to go? I'll fly you. And that includes Australia. Now, I know, very, very generous. I know. And every month, those first couple of years, because my daughter's a high soprano opera singer, and she was very involved in opera the first couple of years of college. One of the reasons she went out to Australia, Sydney Opera House is right there. We managed to go once before COVID, and she takes lessons. She's going to law school and whatever, but I'm saying she does that as a thing, as her thing that she does. So she had a performance every month. Out in LA one summer she did for 2 months. So there's been a lot of flights, and that's a generosity and yes, that's a blessing. That's a monetary blessing that he's able to bestow such a generosity. Not everyone may have the means for that particular thing, but the spirit of it, the spirit of the cooperation is what's here, that anyone can do to each other, regardless of money. It could be a ride, it could be switching schedules, it could be anything. There is always something kind. It's about being cooperative for the child and each other, okay? He knows he doesn't want to fly, but he always wants a parent in the audience. Now he made himself go to Rhode Island. He's traveled enough, but he's not one to go to Australia, and so he's like, I'll send you there. So right now we're working through all the COVID and can you, all this stuff, getting it together. But I thought of that when he was doing that. He's like, yeah, all right, I'll get on and get a flight. And I thought, I really wanted everyone to understand that that's what having a good relationship can foster. We're in each other's corners, right? So he has much more means than I do. He's very generous, has always been very generous like this, and that's kind of, has always been that way. So he doesn't want to take the gift away from our daughter to have a parent there. He wants to always make sure that I don't even have to think about it. You want to go, you're going. If more exes felt that way about each other, and again, this isn't about money. There's many things. I see many, many, many couples hurt each other or help each other, and nothing costs money. It's about kindness and consideration for the child involved. What would they want, right? And it's about not being a jerk. An example of being a jerk, about 6 months ago, one of the times I told you, I know I'm going on and on with this video, but I have a lot to say. One of the times I went on a date from on the line, the guy pulls up in a hard top 2-seater white Mercedes convertible. Like the roof goes down, but it's a hard top. It's an expensive car. It's an expensive car. He sits down, which that doesn't mean anything to me. You could be renting it, leasing it, borrowing it. It could be a friend's. You could drive that Mercedes hardtop convertible up to a rented place. Like, I don't know anything about you. So that means nothing to me when I see a car. Zero. But it means something when he goes on to say, it ended up under an hour and I left and I never saw him again. He goes on to complain, which that's the first thing, about his ex-wife recently came into money in another way. Not a lot, it was a modest amount. She recently found out she's going to be getting $1,500 a month extra from this, place or whatever. So I'm taking her to court because I shouldn't have to be giving her the little, this certain amount that was pinpointed that I also have to give her on top of child support, and I should not have to pay that, and I'm not paying that, and I'm waiting for the lawyer to call me. And so I'm thinking, he pulls up in this car, he's acting like this money means so much. So I'm thinking, could it be that much? And even if it were, like, that's just not words my ex-husband would ever say. It was to be spiteful, because when I asked him the amount, I didn't ask him the amount. He goes, guess the amount. And I go, oh, I don't want to do that. I said, that's your business. Like, I don't know. So I'm like, okay, I have to say high enough that I think it could possibly bother somebody, but low enough that I'm not trying to know his business. Because with how upset he was, it was like $100,000 a month you would think he was talking about. I go, I don't know, 1,000, 1,500, and he goes, $700. He pulled up in a Mercedes, and right at that moment I said, he's being a jerk. There's no way. Now maybe he can't afford it and the car's a front. Well, drive the right car because you're living above your means, unless, like I said, he might have borrowed it, but I don't think so. He got in. I saw they were like sunglasses. I felt like it was his car. And you're complaining because you don't want your ex-wife to have the extra $700 that you give her because she happened. And I said to him, I go, well, I said, maybe she can just have that extra $1,500. That's the amount that he told me she was getting from somewhere. I don't know why. I said, maybe you could just think of that as it just cushions her life a little more and makes it easier. I mean, she has a 13-year-old girl they had together. Teenage girls are expensive. And I said, and you could just, I said, is it worth? Wouldn't hear of it. And to me, that's just being a jerk on purpose. The spirit is nasty. You're going to call a lawyer? So you're paying the lawyer what? To save yourself $700 a month? And you're driving up in this car? And she has your 13-year-old daughter she's taking care of? Anyway, I know I made a lot of points in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much. And please go ahead and hit sub, like, and share. And I will see you next time. I think I'm done.